Hey, this is Pat Ricard, aka Project Pat, and you're listening to the Baltimore Beatdown Podcast, the best Ravens podcast on the planet.
It's pretty incredible. In fact, it's la-marvelous.
Thank you, guys.
All right, welcome on back to another edition of the Baltimore Beatdown Podcast. It is Monday, December 21st, recording this Sunday night, December 20th, on a day in which the Baltimore Ravens took care of business. Trap game, schmap game. That's what I say. Me.
Trap game, schmap game.
Trap game, schmap game, baby. Smashing. As the Ravens smash the Jaguars 40-14. My name is Jake Luke. I'm joined by Spencer Nathaniel Schultz, who's making a little bit of a victory Sunday night tradition, or maybe not Sunday night, but victory night tradition out of this rainbow crucial catch hat that he's got on.
I have worn this. Guess how many weeks in a row?
4?
3? How many wins do the Ravens have?
3.
9?
Well, they have 9, yeah.
Yeah, they're 6-5. Yep, I got this. This was the hat that I was complaining about not getting forever.
Which was sick.
I finally got it. I swore, I vowed off jerseys. I will not be wearing a Ravens jersey until they win a playoff game. I popped this old lid on for the Cowboys game. Yeah, the Cowboys game was 2 games ago after the Steelers game, and I wore that, and they won. I didn't wear a jersey. I kept the cap on again against the old Brownies, so you're welcome. You're welcome. It's all me. I'm egocentric. This is me. I'm doing this. I'm the reason the Ravens is 9-5, okay?
Definitely egocentric. We can definitely agree on that. And it does seem to be playing a little bit of a factor because the Ravens are on a little bit of a roll here, having won, obviously, against the Cowboys. Obviously, that huge win over the Browns and now over the Jaguars. I think the bigger question is, was Lamar getting the vid and having to kind of rest it up on the sidelines? Was that what the Ravens needed to turn things around offensively? Because since he's come back from that, he's been on fire.
10 tutties. Almost 300 yards rushing, I believe, somewhere around 270. He had a pretty efficient performance today, aside from an early underthrow, very early underthrow, deep ball pick. But I'm not praising that. That was a bad. The decision looked fine. It looked like Hollywood had a step, underthrown ball. I don't like that he threw an interception. It is negative. It's bad to throw interceptions.
Hashtag analysis.
Hashtag analysis. But separating those couple ones that have happened away from, staring something down, misreading coverage, throwing an underneath pick. The pick 6 in against Pittsburgh early on, the first Pittsburgh matchup. That was awful. That is so much worse. Not just that it was a pick 6, but the decision making, all around bad. The decision was fine. All that stuff was fine. He underthrew the ball. Other than that, super efficient performance. And Greg Roman said it. He said, from that, they had everybody going COVID. It was kind of a weird situation where you have to go back to the basics. You trim he didn't get into this detail, so this is me running on from here, but you trim the fat from your playbook. You go back and you're like, damn, what actually works? What can I run with some of my backup level guys? What's our bread and butter? What's our identity? What plays are our constitution? I'm Nicolas Cage. I want to steal the Declaration of Independence.
There's a map on the back of the Declaration of Independence. And I'm Nicolas Cage.
And I'll tell you what, Al,
I'll tell you what. There is a map on the back of the Declaration of Independence. People saying these crazy egg-headed conspiracy theorists. I don't want to hear about any of it because it's there. And Nicolas Cage and that annoying little guy with the weird voice and the hot girl with the blonde hair, they're going to go find it in the Arctic Circle or Philadelphia, wherever it might be. It's truly, truly a pleasure to watch.
And they did that. Greg Roman stole the Declaration of Independence. That's how we'll put it. He went back to the basics. He found the map.
By the way, I'm getting big into the Photoshop After Effects game. So this is you're getting me onto something here.
You've been doing a good job in After Effects. Those are funny.
Yeah.
There's one on Baltimore Beatdown Instagram, Office Space reference. There's so many that it could be, but go check it out if you haven't yet.
Hashtag Michael Bolton.
Hashtag Michael Bolton. You like that hashtag too. That added a little sauce on there.
Good, yeah. I appreciated that.
Good. I'm glad we're on the same wavelength. But
we're making a crack team here.
Hell yeah. And yeah, Greg Roman, he freaking is getting back to the basics. They're running stuff. I thought, they had some weird RPOs. There's one where it was something the Cardinals love to run. The Cardinals stole it from Lincoln Riley, who stole it from someone else. But it's I think the Ravens even ran it. It might have been the 4th and 3 against the Steelers in the first game where Lamar got stuffed. But it's a mirror screen where there's nothing in front of the quarterback with a quarterback draw option. And he made a couple weird decisions on those. But overall, he put a ton of air on the ball today. He was like fucking Nick Foles throwing those raindrop type throws, those big ones, and I feel like they're more accurate. It lets guys track the ball better and run under it, and you can get some pass interference going that way. He usually kind of throws it on a little bit of a rope, those dart type throws a little bit more so. And we mentioned earlier on the interception, but it's good to see him kind of toying around with some of that, seeing if he can get some crispy December air floaters. And I mean, he had a great deep pass to Hollywood in the 3rd or 4th quarter. He hit Mark Andrews a couple of times. There's some good throws. Des Bryant worked, and he made sure he was finally open and hit him. So it was, a building block. And I think a lot of it is the vid. I think the vid maybe had some silver linings, despite maybe forcing them to lose a game, and got them back to the basics. Feels like this offense is back to the basics. They put up, what was the final score today? 40-40?
40-14.
40-14.
40-40 would be a weird final score.
40-40. E40. But they put up 40, they put up 47, they put up 33. They're cooking. They're scoring a lot of points, man. And it's good. It's really good that they struggled. And of course, they're not in the playoffs right now. God knows the Browns are probably going to pull it out against the Giants right now.
Looking good.
Maybe they don't ultimately make it. We'll get into all that shit. But they had some struggles. The offense, had issues, was really inefficient, had a lot of drive stall, didn't run them a lot of plays. The situation happens. They get back to the basics, and now they're flowing, man. They're putting points on the board consistently. It's good to see. It feels like they know who they are now.
Yeah, they definitely do. They've gotten back to, it's kind of like what we've talked about. Get back to what you were doing, even going back to 2018 with that power run game. Get 8 on the move a little bit, use those legs of his, and that's going to open up his ability to use his arm. He doesn't have to be sitting back there and picking defenses apart like he was in week 1. And you truly do love to see it. Great game from a lot of guys that needed one. Unique Ngakoue having a big-time game, 2 sacks, forced fumble. Judon had a sack of his own, I believe. Patrick Queen was out there playing really well after a tough couple of weeks. Hollywood, obviously, he made the big play last week, and I think that kind of freed him up a little bit because I think I tweeted this out, lost in some of the other storylines that we're going to have today, and there are plenty that we're going to touch on. Hollywood Brown had himself a really nice game, just a complete game, and that was nice to see. Made kind of a couple weird decisions, but no super egregious mental errors, and just very solid. Was good in the deep game. Had a couple short and intermediate passes caught as well. So happy to see Hollywood Brown bouncing back like that. And that, so the Dez touchdown we're obviously going to touch on, and also Mark Andrews slowly really working his way back into being the top option of this offense, which I think when Mark Andrews is catching footballs, converting first downs and scoring touchdowns, that's only a good thing for the Baltimore Ravens. So it's great to see all of those guys really finding their form down the home stretch here.
Yeah, and the season went awry overall. As we're sitting here week 15, we can get that kind of big picture perspective a little more. They had that tough stretch that felt like, similar to the stretch last year. The Ravens had kind of a murderer's row last year. They have a little bit of one, it turns out, this year. They're really only able to pull it out against the Colts. And at this point, you see the progression in these guys. Miles Boykin, another one who has had he was kind of like the mascot of how this season has gone. Starts out okay. He has a touchdown, I think, early, or a big catch early week 1, has a couple big plays against the Texans, kind of disappears, hits that valley against the Eagles that I've mentioned quite a few times where he's just not on the same page, couple missed throws, couple missed, communications. He ends up taking blame for it publicly, which takes a lot of fucking balls to do. And kudos to him for where he's at now, considering he was able to kind of face the criticism in the media and say, that's on me. I've got to work with Lamar. I've got to be better. Which was, whatever. You can read into that how you want. But at this point now, he's consistently making plays, man. He's getting open over the middle of the field. He works in the end zone really well. He's used that gigantic, gangly power forward wing frame a couple times here in the last few weeks. And it's good to see there's guys making plays all over this offense. And, you can point and say, the Jaguars defense sucks and the Cowboys defense sucks. And that sucks.
That's part of it a little bit, but you have to, they were playing poorly against bad defenses too. So they're starting to turn around a little bit.
The Eagles are not a great defense. They have a good front, but their secondary is not great. They struggled against them. The Bengals, who they've been feisty. They kind of have been deflated since Burrow went down, but there was a weird day against them. Overall, yeah, but this offense is clicking. They're putting up points. And again, one of the hashtag analytics themes, that one of the concrete pillars of the analytics community is kind of the New England Patriots. Good teams, a truly good team, beats the teams they're supposed to. They beat bad teams every time. That's how you can distinguish the two, over time. It pans out. You cover the spread, you beat the bad teams, you do those kinds of things, you end up winning a lot of games, getting all the sponsorships, getting all the endorsements. So it's good to see the Ravens take care of business.
Would you say that this offense is young, cheap, and full of reach?
Young, cheap, and full of reach. I mean, Boykin freaking went up for that ball, man.
I kind of needed to. I was reaching really hard for the Point Break reference there. Little John C. McGinley action, young, dumb, and full of cum. But had to go with the young, cheap, full of reach because you're the young, cheap offense guy. And obviously Miles Boykin putting that wingspan on display there, going up and climbing the ladder. And I made the point on Twitter that he's not ever going to be this Anquan Bolden box a guy out, but he finds the soft spots. And if you put a ball up high enough for him, and he's not being mangled, he can go up and grab one and make a little bit of a spectacular catch. So good for him.
I love I really think that the point that I made, he's a point forward. He looks like he's going to go play in the paint, but he is way more of a finesse player as a wide receiver. And lean into it. If that's what you do, be that way. Do it to the maximum. Be the freaking quintessential gangly finesse receiver. I don't care. Be Luka Doncic on the floor. Like,
we're getting really bad talks here. I like it. Just be the best version of yourself.
Yeah, and I think these guys, it took some time to realize, they want him to box out. They want you to be, the big physical receiver. They draft you. You got the combine. You're big. You're tall. You're strong. You're a good blocker. It's not who he is. It feels like that's not who he is. We're almost done year 2 of his career at this point, in terms of the regular season, at least. We're getting the picture of what Miles Boykin is. He likes to run in breakers. He feels like a weapon in the end zone. It feels like he's always working. If you go watch all 22, he's always working through the back of the end zone, getting open, uncovering, finding the soft spot, like you said, Jake. And that's his role. That's what he does. So
it does feel like, also to his credit, one of the things that I think is unique to him as far as this offense goes, I think he's kind of an underrated, scrambles on the fire drill and comes back to the open spaces when Lamar is kind of playing off script, which some of the other guys really.
And Lamar doesn't necessarily look for him.
Yeah, exactly. And it feels like a lot of his touchdowns last year, he had 4, I think, maybe 5. A lot of them were he's going one way, Lamar starts to scramble, he goes back the other way, finds him, kind of runs himself open and makes the catch. So, there's some nuance to his game that you wouldn't expect from a guy with his frame, but it's to see him unlocking it when they really need it.
He ran a freaking, I think a 666 hashtag Hail Satan 3-cone, somewhere in that area, somewhere really, really low. He's agile. He can cross face, stop on a dime. He's quick. He's, you might be strong, but I'm quick. And I've just been impressed with him, man. Him and Hollywood. Yeah. You mentioned Hollywood too. He had a RPO slant, if I recall correctly. And he kind of just assessed the space around him, realized he had a blocker and a little bit of room, and then curled back upfield, ends up getting some yards after the catch. So
good block by Dez.
Good block by Dez. Dez is playing football, man, and you love it. You love to see it. He took a shot from the dude that I mentioned too, Wingard. That scrappy son of a bitch came in like a kamikaze missile and took his shin out on a tight coverage throw that he wasn't able to bring in, and bounced right back up. So this team, is impressed. I'm impressed with the offense over the last 3 weeks. You can say what you want, but they scored more than anyone has against the Jaguars. They scored more than anyone has against the Browns. They're putting up points. J.K. Dobbins, they're featuring him. And I want to shout out you again. I've shouted you out a couple times on this, but there's a couple backs right now that are rookies. And that famous rookie wall, you mentioned this months ago before Dobbins started getting a ton of touches, but think about the rookie backs right now who are getting hot. Dobbins, Jonathan Taylor in Indy, and Cam Akers out in Los Angeles. They ended up dropping a game today, but those guys have been hot lately. They didn't hit that rookie wall. They didn't get abused early on. And you hear all these rookies always talk about how long the NFL season is. They're not used to it. So if that was what the Ravens had in mind, kudos to them. If it kind of just worked out that way, I get that too. But ultimately, Dobbins is fresh. He's making plays, and you love to see it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's kind of my main point that I'm really happy to have been pretty right on. People were freaking out about the fact that he's not getting used. And it's in these games where they're just winning in these grinds of games, 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, whatever it is against Washington, against Cincinnati, even against Philadelphia a little bit. It's like maybe they could have used him a little more in that one, but see, even just like him running there, him like having that burst and corner like speed to push it to the corner and kind of just push it to the limit like he did. Like, I don't know if you're like going to be seeing that from him if they're burning him out in the first 8 weeks of the season. The fact that he's on fresh legs is fucking huge for this team right now.
And he's still not getting beaten into the ground. How many carries did he have today? 12, 13, something like that. He's not taking a massive beating. They're getting him in space. And you mentioned him changing speeds. That's like one of his best traits, it feels like, is his ability to really gun in the power and hit the hole hard and go get those 5-6 tough yards or whatever. But he kind of is patient on the perimeter. He knows he has the speed. He knows he has the ability. He's a strong dude. He's tough to take down, and he can really vary his foot frequency, his speed, and go deliver conflict, or he can beat you to the corner. And I think he's playing like a veteran right now. So they've integrated him well. Gus Edwards is used to the grind. He's been playing late in the season. He's gone through it a couple years now, so they rely on him as well. We end up seeing Mark Ingram a healthy scratch. Justice Hill, I believe, had 3-4 touches, something like that. Nothing crazy, but fresh legs, and it's turned out really well, man. So ultimately, the Ravens get to this point in the season. We'll get more into the Jaguars game, but they've hit this easy stretch and they're winning games. So do what you got to fucking do and go be 11-5 and go do it. And they've got a tough Giants team coming up, but they're handling business. They were missing some dudes on defense. The Jaguars hit them for a couple plays, but they made a lot of impact plays on defense. And as I've said, this Jaguars team's record sucks, but they have put people on the ropes consistently. They've covered a bunch, and they were able to go hunt today. We're seeing some highlights right now from Patrick Queen, who played forward. He played confident. He played sure of himself today. And, make quote on the famous rookie quote, if you're going to make a mistake, make it fast, like make it hard. So I thought that was the epitome of what he did today, because when he pushes the issue, he is that coiled cobra explosive athlete. He's a top athlete at that linebacker position. He can blow up an offensive lineman. If he beats them to the spot, he will wreck them. That's what he did at LSU. So make it hard, make it fast. Go be an active linebacker. We saw it today. Great development. And the Ravens are in a great place right now as a team. They're just not in a great place in terms of the standings. They're not in a horrible place, but it's complicated. Hashtag rom-com.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There's a ton of hand-wringing going on right now about how they could go 11-5 and miss out. And I get it, but it's really A, it's not likely, and B, you just can't worry about that. You just got to worry about the games on your schedule. Like you mentioned, a tough, frisky Giants team coming to town next week. You got to be ready to get up for them. And whether it's Daniel Jones or Colt McCoy, you can have your hands full there as far as having a young mobile well, maybe not young in Colt's case, but mobile quarterback who's a little volatile. And then, not for nothing, you have to go on the road to face Cincinnati. I think regardless of who they're trotting out there at QB right now, it's kind of looking pretty dire for them. But you still got to take care of your business. So don't worry about these other teams. And we're even going to get into that on at least one of our questions that we got here. So, without further ado, you want to jump into them?
Yeah, let's get it going.
Cool. So we can start with Twitter here as I pull them up. This is great radio on my part.
It's all right. Our people can take a break. Great Ravens win. Justin Tucker misses a 57-yarder, and he's not going to end up being a first-team All-Pro, because you look at his stupid thing and you're like, his stupid FGM, FGA, and you're like, 22-25, missed a couple field goals. Someone's over. Look at the field goals he's missed. 57 in M&T Bank Stadium. How many people have hit that other than him?
It's the people who it's the people on Twitter and the analysts that don't watch the Ravens every week. So they just don't get it. No one's ever really going to get it unless, A, he continues on doing this for 10, 15 years, which I don't see why he couldn't. And B, if the Ravens don't get him to another Super Bowl, at least one, I don't know. Maybe that'll happen. Hopefully it will. I would have some confidence that he's going to be playing in more big games in his career. So it's just going to take more time, but whatever. So first one comes in from Jordan, tying back into what we were talking about. Is it even worth the energy to scoreboard watch? Feels like if you go 11-5 and miss the playoffs, there isn't much you can really do there.
Yeah. If you would have told me at the beginning of the year, COVID year, Ravens go 11-5 and don't tell me anything else, I'm like, sweet. Sounds good.
That was my prediction.
Yeah, that was your prediction. I think I was at 12-4. If you tell me they go 11-5, I'm like, that's a good year. Good shit, Ravens. Good job. Round of applause. Good job, Ravens. That's fine. So If that happens, then it sucks. Absolutely. It's unprecedented, but it is what it is. And there's no point, the scoreboard watching. Of course, we're going to end up doing it when it's on the damn television. You're watching Deshaun Watson drive on the Colts, throw Kiki Kuti to the 2-yard line, and he tries to bust into the end zone and fumbles. Like, it is what it is. There's nothing you can do.
That's what we call in the gentleman's game, the rub of the green.
Exactly.
It's awful, but
that's just the way it lays.
It 100% is what it is. Daniel, does the offense look like it's finally clicking into form? Lamar, since coming off COVID, has looked like his 2019 self, and the play of the entire offensive roster has improved with him. Yeah, I think it definitely does. And like the fact that the running game is looking as strong as it is, there were stretches there where the running game was not looking like it should have, particularly kind of in that stretch with the Patriots and the Titans games. That was kind of a tough scene, but it feels like they've turned around in that respect, and that's opening up all the other sort of valves that this offense is able to run their strengths through and open up that passing game as well. So it's been nice to see.
In every quarter, it feels like they're putting points on the board over the last 3 games. You go back and look at that Titans game. They put a couple more points on the board in the fourth. They have a better fourth quarter. They win. The Patriots game, better second quarter. They win. They just haven't been able to put these consistent 4-quarter performances together offensively, and it's happened 3 weeks in a row, it feels like. So they're clicking, man. No, they have to be the number 1 scoring offense. We'll see what the Browns end up doing, because I believe they scored in the 40s against the Titans as well. So probably them and the Browns, but the Browns, I think, have 13 at the half. So you got to look and see. The Ravens definitely end up being number 1 in terms of points scored over the last 3 weeks. And pick at it all you want. Pick at it, dig at it, make, excuses, blah, 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 blah. But they're clicking, and it's good to see. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, it definitely is. We've got Jordan chiming in that we're getting copyright struck for this, the highlights I think we were showing, but we're not monetized anyway, so that doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah, this isn't a monetized stream.
Okay, perfect. Where was I? So I got tagged in one of these CBS Sports HQ things, and it just like fucking destroys my mentions, so that makes it fun. But Ashwin says, given what we've seen from Clark and Elliott, do you think the Ravens miss Earl Thomas purely from a talent standpoint?
No, not really. Are they getting beat deep? Is the middle of the field getting beaten? I haven't really seen that all year, I don't think. And Thomas was great in coverage. He did some awesome things. I don't feel like the secondary is much different than it was last year, to be honest.
Would they like to have him if he weren't like a raging dickhead? Like, yeah, probably, but like feels like that kind of answers itself there a little bit.
Exactly.
Our boy Ravens burner with the mustard pants. If you had to replace Clark or Elliott with a true free safety, who would it be? So it kind of ties in there.
I don't know how to answer that question. Just like anybody, I could have anybody that I'm taking.
Yeah, I mean, I'd take probably the best free safety in the league, which like I even feels
I'll
like
take Jesse Bates.
Okay, Jesse Bates. He follows up with young cheap offenses on a roll. I have a good feeling about this team when D gets healthy. Yeah, and I mean they weren't even fully healthy today. Marcus Peters didn't play. Jimmy didn't play. Ward was out, I believe. So
Campbell as well. I think Ward was just a healthy scratch. But this is good because you know what Jimmy Smith can do. Let him rest. They were confident they could get this done. Let Marcus Peters get back to 100%. Marcus Peters has had nagging injuries since the Colts game. He got hurt in that game, and he's been dealing with that ankle area, the calf area. So let him get healthy. Hopefully he's good to go at this point. But getting Tramon Williams integrated on the field, getting Anthony Averett ramped back up, live bullets, these different guys, it's great. I'm not sure if Pierre – I want to say Pierre Desir was on the field today, but I'm not positive in saying that. But get those guys integrated.
Marlon was out there late, and Jeff was tweeting why is Marlon out there, and Pierre Desir is still on the sideline. So I'm not sure what was going on with that.
That's what I said. Marlon almost hurt him. He had a punch early, and was holding his arm a little bit. I was like, yeah, fourth quarter, get Marlon off the field, get Lamar off the field, but kept him out there. Whatever. Sure, great, but I agree. I think the defense. Mataboike playing another really strong game today, made a couple impact plays. Wolf coming back on hot. Those guys getting some things done. Judon and Ngakoue getting some chemistry together. Bowser's been strong. Queen getting going. LJ Fort has a pick 6 called back. He's had a few interception mishaps this year. Feel bad for the guy, but they're winning, and hopefully he's able to get one when it matters even more. So, yeah, I like that you're getting these guys integrated, and you should be getting healthy soon.
Very nice. Definitely wanted to bring this one up. So we had friend of the show, Anna, write in saying, not a question, but a request in honor of my fellow Ravens fan, Daniel Jones, rest in peace, and the Ravens playing Daniel Jones this week. If any followers/listeners have any nonprofits that they support in the realm of suicide prevention or mental health resources, I'll donate money at DMs. So her @ is ABADAM1. Definitely wanted to bring that up. Kind of, tough sort of, story and everything. And wanted to bring that to light because this is a tough time of year for a lot of people. And helping people sort of work through their mental health, I think, is a very noble cause. So hit up Anna on Twitter at ABADAM1. And I had another follow-up with it from, I believe, Ravens 24/7/365, who's another frequent flyer with us. He left a link to the place that he works for, onourownbaltimore.org, which I think is one of these nonprofits. So get involved. Hashtag get involved. Help Anna.
Absolutely. Anna, very noble effort. Love to hear it. And she gave you the @ and go find her, and she'll make some things happen. That's very sweet. Love to hear it.
Absolutely. Tony Ferrari follows up. Do we have a QB controversy? No, but seriously, I know it's just the Jags, but there seems to be a building energy around them in the last couple of weeks. Do you think this lasts into the playoffs if they get in? So the QB controversy, I think, honestly, like keep Trace and Huntley. Like, I think they both bring different things, and you want to have 3 QBs, in my opinion, with Lamar's playing style. So I kind of like both of those guys. And they're heating up right at the right time. Just when, or just like how people were talking about them peaking too early last year, feels like they're peaking sort of heading into that playoffs. They're just peaking all over everybody.
They had that adversity. I don't know why I said that, but they've had that adversity that everybody wanted so desperately. They had it as bad as you can get it, in the form of COVID, in the form of losing some close games, getting battle tested there, and having the doubt, having, people dismiss them, all that good stuff. So at this point, if you asked for it, you got it. And now they're sitting in it.
Yeah. And then we had our boy Evan follow up with Anna saying AFSP National. So also check that out. Next one was from Gaz. Let's go Giants. That is all except next week. Then fuck the Giants. I'll hang up and listen. Love from England, pals. Hell yeah.
Love to hear it. Hell yeah.
Must be a good, well, maybe not in these uncertain times, but this would be a great time of year to just go down to the pub and just get absolutely smashed with the lads watching little Premier League.
That would be a blast.
Tony Rhodes, biggest need prior to this upcoming draft, DB, IOL, or wide receiver. I'm all in on interior O-line right now.
For sure. If there's a guy like Wyatt Davis available, who was mauling for OSU, paving the way for Trey Sermon to move out of the way, we'll get into all that stuff when the season unfolds, but get that line really, 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 really strong. Give Lamar Jackson time and confidence. Figure out a couple more veterans, it feels like. They need some experience, a little bit more so, unless you can get, the guy, the Justin Jefferson, whatever, but it's a lot of variables, whatever. We'll get into that. When the cookie crumbles, we'll put it back together in the off season.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to, be diving too much into that in the way that people have in this kind of defeatist sense the last couple of weeks. But now that things are picking back up again, I think he just sort of wanted us to take a sort of broad look at it, which I think is fine. And I would say interior O-line for me, Kal-El 292. How likely do you think it is that Dez comes back? The team seems to really rally around him, and it seems like he's going to get into a groove the more time he gets in the offense. I think it's pretty likely. I mean, if he's willing to take, a little bit, I don't even know less. Like, I don't even know what another team would pay him at this point, but he just turned 32 last month, and he's been productive. He was shouting out Baltimore big time and seems to love his teammates right now. So I think, DeCosta comes to him and says, little kind of cheap veteran deal, hang around for another year or so. Why not do it?
Give him $2 million, give him $3 million for, having a good attitude and being willing to be a part of it. And I'm all about it, man. If he can stay healthy and keep making plays, I love what he does in the red zone. We saw him finally get some targets in the red zone, and a target, I guess, and he made the most out of it. So keep feeding him in the red zone, keep letting him work. And if everybody likes him, yeah, hell yeah. He seems super positive. Harbaugh gave him that big hug. Harbaugh, that said a lot, because Harbaugh was pretty,
He was negative big time.
Yeah, we were the same way. We're like, love the idea of Dez. Don't know what he is right now. So not going to get like, oh, Dez is going to come make this huge freaking impact, bro. Like he's going to be, catching 6 balls a game, end up scoring 8 touchdowns. Like we didn't know what he was. They didn't want him in the offseason, or I guess in training camp, and they bring him in. So at this point, Harbaugh giving them that big hug is how it felt for everybody. We were unsure. As fans, we were unsure of what the Ravens were going to get out of Dez Bryant. And it seems like it paid off. It feels like it really paid off to sign him. It was a good signing. So kudos to EDC.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, you're getting more out of him than like some of the guys that you drafted this year. And he looks like a fine, like rotational NFL receiver right now. His ceiling could maybe even be higher than that if he continues to get healthy and continues to work his way into this offense. But I haven't seen this team as fired up for a touchdown as they were after he scored that. You had Lamar running around, throwing up the X. Like they were talking about how they were planning to do that before the Dallas game. They seem super, super fired up about this guy. It's pretty awesome to see kind of like a mid-tier, middle of the season signing generate this much buzz. And not for no reason. Like he's been successful.
I like the idea of, Boykin kind of playing some tall ball, going up and getting some rebounds. Andrews healthy-ish, hopefully again. And Dez Bryant coming in suddenly, J.K. Dobbins bringing some speed. Gus Edwards able to hit you downhill. And then you have Lamar Jackson. Suddenly feels like you have some red zone weapons all of a sudden.
Yeah, it definitely does. Let's see. Got a lot of these. Ben Walks, where did Duvernay go?
I haven't been crazy impressed. Like Duvernay he had the kick return and he had the big run, that end around against those at home Bengals.
Yeah,
Bengals. Anyone could have made that run though. Like I like Duvernay as a prospect. I think he's fine for nabbing him in the 3rd round, whatever. I just haven't seen the change of direction skills. I haven't seen him really, make contested catches. I haven't seen him doing much more than kind of.
He's just a pure like straight line
linear receiver.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, you can, and hopefully you can develop him a little bit more, or he can develop on his own, because God knows the Ravens aren't going to develop him. But yeah, I think he'll be fine moving forward. But it's a good thing that they don't need to lean on their 3rd round rookie this year at wide receiver.
He had some troubles getting lined up a couple times covering the tackle. So it's the same thing. We saw Boykin get his snap count reduced, and then they kind of flooded Duvernay with some snaps, and maybe it overwhelmed him a little bit. As they have a complex offense, and it seems like guys kind of struggle mentally in it sometimes. So pumping the brakes on Duvernay a little bit now as Boykin is getting more integrated, and then hopefully comes full circle. Duvernay feels more comfortable, and you feel like you're 5, 6, 7, 8 guys deep on offense in terms of guys to throw and run the ball.
Exactly.
Throw two.
Wookie Nookies, Ravens making the playoffs. Dolphins got to face the buzzsaw known as the Bills and potentially a Raider upset. Brownies might shit the bed against the Steelers. Yeah, I mean, like if they win out, it's likely that they are in.
If they win out, I would. I don't even know, man. If they win out and they don't get in, I'm not mad. Like I said, I'm not mad, because if you're pissed your team goes 11-5, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah,
it's whatever.
Somebody's got to. There's no fucking way that the Ravens, the Browns, the Dolphins, the Colts all went out for a month straight. There's just there's no fucking way.
That's 4 teams at 11-5, like in the wild card picture.
Well, it would be the Browns have to be 12-4, because if they're 11-5, the Ravens go over them,
right?
And then the Dolphins are also 12-4, right? No, they would be 11-5, and then the Colts are 12-4, and that's. And kudos to the AFC, man. If that's what happens, fuck you, NFC. That's what I have to say about it.
It's honestly going to be kind of sick, because like they'll be the team that's like, oh yeah, they were the 11-5 team that missed out on the playoffs.
That is true. If they end up losing in the playoffs, if you can run parallel universes and the Ravens lose in the playoffs versus are the team that misses out 11-5, which one gets remembered more?
Especially with all the fucking narrative surrounding the quarterback in the playoffs.
Lamar can't lose in the playoffs if he's not in them.
First time
on that NFL.
Like my boy Andrew Garfield and Hacksaw Riggs with no gun and just got fucking slaughtered by the Chargers, and then obviously we know what happened last year. But I don't want this narrative. Orioles Haiku is at Vasily's Beatdown, still upset about drafting Dobbins. The answer to that is yes.
Denzel Mims, they would be 14-0.
Listen, they would be 16-0 with Denzel Mims and whoever the fuck, Michael Pittman, no Patrick Queen, whatever. I love you, Voss. Wookie Nookies, late entry. Who's going on the C list tomorrow? You know it's bound to happen. I got a -14 on Tomlinson. Who's going to get the vid next?
Oh, next COVID. So it was in the receiver room. What room hasn't gotten it? I can't.
That's really the way to break it down, honestly.
What room has not gotten it? Marlon had it. Did any other DBs have it? I don't think Peters. I don't think Jimmy. I don't think Tremo. I don't think any of those guys. So let's go DBs. Let's go Anthony Averett. 2020 just absolutely shits on him as soon as he's playing well, breaks his collarbone and gives him the vid. That's my guess.
Yeah, bad luck, Anthony. That's a good guess. Ravens 24/7 365. I'm probably late to the party, but why does Hollywood always run out of bounds after a catch? I mean, except for when he's supposed to today. Yeah, he had a couple weird miscues today with the ball.
He couldn't. I don't think he could get out of bounds on that one where they were trying to stop clock. There was someone there.
No, he could have. He was literally right there, and he chose to run it back in. It was bad.
I must have not seen.
It's fine. It's not a big deal. I mean, like you're talking about maybe getting
a good run after the catch today.
I think you're talking about a guy who literally couldn't catch a football a couple fucking weeks ago. I think we got to take the good with what we got here. Wookie Nookies again, just absolutely just letting the choppa sing all over us tonight. He says, one, Boykin a soldier. He's approaching soldier status, I think. Marquise earned back Hollywood. I've been sticking with Hollywood, I believe.
Hollywood.
Ravens did what they should have done against a soft ass team, and he didn't have to do them like this, but he spelled it SAWFT.
South.
And that is all we had from the Twitter.
As far as Instagram, appreciate you guys chiming in. Glassy Fresh. Just when I thought the Ravens were out, they pulled me back in.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
That is Baltimore Ravens football. That is being a Baltimore Ravens fan. They
really
start out hot, they suck, and then they finish hot.
It's really not a bad life.
Could be worse. Could be a little better, but could be a lot worse. Moving on.
It's not fun to be the number one seed every year. Like, look at New England fans right now. They don't even know how to.
Right. Yeah, right. Spare me on that one. New England fans love their lives. Not right now.
Not right now. Now it's over, and they're never getting that back. And we don't have to get into it.
They have a lifetime full of memories. I have some very good friends who are Patriots fans. They had some good experiences. Shoal 13.
Good for them. I'm glad that they got all that success, and they're just the best. And their team is amazing, and everyone loves them. It's the Chiefs. The Chiefs are they're next on deck, and I'm
you hate the number one team. Like you hate the idea of the number one team.
It's all in the game.
It's all in the game.
I'm an underdog. I'm from an underdog town. What do you? I'm the face of the.
I am Queens Boulevard.
I am Queens Boulevard. Exactly. That's well said. Ethan Suppley takes the package and it's in black and white and it's raining all over. Nobody knows what's happening. But
I can't believe they tried to remaster it and put it in color. Absolute bullshit. Shoal 13. Yeah. We're moving on. Shoal 13. Not a question, but I want to point out Orlando Brown. In my opinion, he's doing great replacing Stanley. 100,000 billion%. Orlando Brown has been a fucking stud since Ronnie Stanley went down. Stepped up big time. He has stepped up his game, in my opinion, definitely since Stanley went down.
Curious about, obviously this is kind of like the surface level take, but has he totally priced himself out of hanging around here?
I don't think there's any way he priced himself out. I don't know how can anyone have priced themselves out? The Ravens don't have, Stanley and Humphrey don't have, crippling contracts. They don't get new money for a couple. Stanley gets new money next year, not a big cap hit. Marlon Humphrey doesn't get new money next year, then doesn't have a big cap hit. Orlando Brown is after next year. So I franchise tag, whatever. I think he loves being a Raven, man. His dad played for the Ravens. He's from this area, and he's said multiple times. You go watch his NFL Game Pass Baldy breakdown, which was a ton of fun to watch. Definitely recommend if you have Game Pass. He talked about it was destiny. It's destiny for him to play for the Ravens. He's a hometown kid. The Ravens were the ones that drafted him and overlooked the combine to an extent. Well, it was in the third round and shouldn't have been. But, it feels like Orlando Brown wants to be a Raven. He's down with the squad. And I think if anyone is going to take a hometown discount to an extent, You're still gonna have to pay him millions and millions of dollars, but it's Orlando Brown. He loves Lamar. He loves Harbaugh. They love him. You know, he freaking grew up with his dad wearing a Ravens jersey, coming into his elementary school and bringing Poe, the Ravens bird in.
I thought he was in that class, actually.
Yeah, exactly. He is a local kid. He plays for the Ravens. His dad, but it's like it is destiny. So I think Orlando Brown stays around. I think
it's music to my ears. I just like a team is going to want to throw a bag at him after this year, and
I think the Ravens are going to want to throw a bag at him.
Yeah, for sure. It's all about what they prioritize.
He has proven worth the Ravens re-signing because he has replaced Stanley well. So now you're not fucked when Ronnie Stanley goes down. If he misses a month, you're not like, oh my God, this ruins our season.
Okay. I like it. Listen, I like it.
That makes sense to me to do. To have the bookends, keep drafting a couple guys in the interior. Ben Powers has been playing okay. Macari is a swing guy. Can play some centers.
They draft interior O linemen in the like mid rounds that like can produce pretty quickly, like consistently. So yeah, I see what you mean.
Right, and I think that they've had that's in their DNA. They can't draft receivers that well. They can draft linemen well. Whatever. That's a bias of our own. Can't think of the right words. You know what I'm going to say, but I just think ultimately Orlando Brown stays around. I don't know why he wouldn't want to. I don't know why they wouldn't want to. Having him is a smart idea. Ultimately, moving on, Matt Wilden. What are the odds? What do you think that the odds are at this point that Lamar runs for over 1,000 yards a season? I believe he's right around 800.
Let me go a little young Jamie here.
He was in the 780 range, I want to say, before this game, and I think he had 30 today.
If only Pro Football References layout was
rushing. Lamar Jackson 10 for 35. He's right around 800.
He is
I'm going to take the under on that.
Where is he at?
I'm going to say if he's right around 800 to 810, I think maybe, we see an 80-yard rushing performance in one of these games and then like a 40-yard rushing performance. And, I feel like they'll be able to roll right over the Bengals without him having to do all that. And then the Giants have some dudes that can run. McKinney, Peppers. They have Blake Martinez. You can't really run with him, but they've got some athletes. We'll see what happens with that. I don't think Kyler Murray really hurt the Giants, so I feel like they have a good core to contain some running quarterbacks. I don't think 1,000's on the docket this year.
Yeah, it's probably not going to happen. I don't understand Pro Football References layout, why this is so not good, but let me see if I can find it. Because it doesn't give the totals. It just gives I'm sure it's somewhere, but I can't find it.
I got you. Hold on. He was at 793 entering today, so now he's at 828, so he needs 132 yards about. I guess that's doable-ish, actually, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I retract what I said, but I'm going to say 80 in one, 40 in the other. Shit, I guess it is 1,000.
Yeah, it's doable. If they go run heavy in the sort of Giants game and he's got to make a couple plays with his legs, let's say he maybe breaks another long one and then he kind of consistently runs 10 yards on 3 or 4 others, then he's probably flirting with a hundo. And then I don't know how long he's going to be playing in that Bengals game. It's kind of the issue.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense too. So let's go. I'm going to go, if I have to guess a number, guess the jelly beans, 969. Nice.
I'm going to go a little Herman Cain, 999. He misses out by 1 yard.
That'd be so sick. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. That would be.
Moving on, Jason Woodbury. What's your grade on Boykin's development since the bye? I don't know if I don't like to put a grade on it, but he's playing confident. He's integrated into the offense. They needed him to play big snaps a couple games here because of COVID. He has, especially he was unable to practice this week. Him and Hollywood and who was the third? Prochet.
Yeah,
were unable to practice this week. So I think he stepped up big time. He isn't him. He's doing the antithesis of what Queen needs to do. As a wide receiver, you need to slow things down a little bit, find those soft spots, stay with your quarterback. You need to play a little slower. And he did that. He's using his frame. Lamar is trusting him. Lamar's been targeting him in those key areas over the past month or two, and it's paid off. I haven't seen any, I haven't been cranking on Boykin for any mistakes he's made. It feels like he's in the right place. He's executing his assignment. He's making blocks.
You like to crank to smaller people a lot of the time. So, and he's a little bit of a taller guy.
Yeah, I'm more of a 5'8" kind of guy. Yeah, so I think Boykin's been great. Moving on, Fiore Lucas. Are you guys optimistic if we make the playoffs, if we win the remaining games? Yes, I will. I'm optimistic, yes.
Yeah, me too.
If they went out, I think they make it for sure. Adam Jones, 357, the 5-time Gold Glover. When the defense jumps, why is there a free play sometimes and sometimes the play is ruled dead? Contact. If you cross the line and you make contact with an offensive lineman, then the play is over. Also, if the offensive lineman then jumps before the ball is snapped, that is going to kill it as well. But if a defensive player jumps off sides, none of those other things happen. The offensive line doesn't jump. There was no contact before the snap. Then it goes through. Moving on. Kogi Berra. Trenches on both sides looking solid. Think they're starting to roll or just rolling over the Jags. As we mentioned, they've scored a lot of points. What do we got? 47 points and 40 points and 33 points. They've scored 120 points, averaging 40 points a game over the last 3. Wow.
I don't think it can be overstated how massive that win over the Browns was, instilling confidence in their offense that they could hang with a talented defense in Cleveland, not for nothing, and a good offense in the Browns too, who put up a ton of points, kept them on their toes, made them really go out and earn it. Earn it they did. And they've done what they had to do against the bad teams in the Cowboys and the Jags. Like they just bludgeoned them. And, that's all it takes. Like little JK, little Gus, they're pretty much, kind of a package deal at this point. I mean, Gus is obviously improving his versatility, splitting out wide and having that massive catch today.
I want to see that route so bad. I want to see what led to that.
Deep threat, Gus Edwards. So, yeah, they're,
He's improved tenfold as a receiver since 2018.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, he's so fucking good. But
he really is so good.
They're doing what they got to do, and it's showing up. So kudos.
Kogi Berra also asked, Marquise is playing how I think we expected coming into this year. Can he keep it rolling? I think he means like over the last couple games he's played how he expected. Yeah, a couple drops. I don't love those, but yes, he's been a playmaker, and a part of it is Lamar hitting him, man, because Lamar missed him a ton. Lamar missed him a lot throughout this season, and like I said today, putting some air on that ball, letting him track it. Hollywood's greatest. One of his probably 2 strongest traits as a receiver when you're scouting him out of Oklahoma is his tracking ability. When you put more air on the ball, gives him more time to track, and he's great at it. So that is an interesting development.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and act like my expectations are fulfilled. I was thinking 1,109 from him this year. So it's kind of a tough scene for me in that regard, but he's looking like I've been saying more recently, that high-end number 2 type of receiver, which is, that's good. It's a good thing.
Yeah, he just fits a certain role. I mean, he's a vertical guy. He's sitting at 703. He's got 800 yards. He could sneak into the 1,000 range possibly with a couple big games. The great Joshby. I wish this team had Stanley and Boyle, man. I like our chances. Yeah, it kind of fits into the adversity though, and it's not great for the
postseason. Had those 2 guys fully healthy the entire season, they'd have at least one other win.
I agree. Definitely agree. Yeah, that would be great, but it fits into that adversity. It fits into having to adjust as coaches to integrate guys that aren't amazing in terms of NFL talent. And I think that is a good exercise ultimately in terms of evaluating your system, your ability to get play calls in, guys to execute assignments, understand their assignments, be picked up by their teammates, those different kinds of things. So that's always an interesting exercise, while ultimately it does hold you back this season. It's good for the future. It helps you see things like we mentioned, Orlando Brown. In my opinion, he's worthwhile because of Ronnie Stanley's big contract, things like that. So always trying to take some silver linings. Moving on, Githens Mazer, 3-parter. A, I'm totally confused about the playoff scenario now. The Ravens need the Dolphins to lose 1 game, the Browns to lose 1 game, the Colts to lose 1 game, and to win out. It gets more complicated if the Ravens don't win out, but they basically just need the Colts, the Browns, or the Dolphins to lose 1 game first.
Just win out. Just keep pounding.
Just keep pounding. Just keep swimming. Githens Mazer Part B. Still best podcast ever. Love you. Githens Mazer C. Does this game tell us much about who they actually are? I think it tells us who they've become more than who they are. I think we see the growth, the progression. We mentioned some games where they played some inferior opponents and they kind of struggled. Some teams that are more experienced, better talent-wise than the Jaguars have struggled against them. So I think it does. I think it tells you where they're at mentally right now, for sure. It tells you of their focus, their determination, their ability to keep making impact plays on both sides of the ball consistently, drive to drive for the most part. So it's taking into perspective the last couple of weeks as well.
Yeah, it does go back to the adversity thing where like all the complaining about how everything like went too perfectly for them and they peaked at the wrong time. Like they went through it big time this year. I mean, and some of it is self-inflicted with the COVID stuff and Saunders' misbehavior and all that, but like that's not the players' fault. And like some of the players maybe were a little reckless COVID wise, but it is what it is. And like they learned their lesson in that regard. They're learning their lessons about who they are schematically, about who they are as teammates. And I think going back to the Dez thing, like he's kind of a little bit of a microcosm of what they even went through, like kind of down in the dumps, didn't know where they were at, didn't know what they were doing, but they just put their head down, went to work, and emerged victorious. I think it's a nice story in that regard for Dez, and it kind of is like I said, just a microcosm of what they've gone through this year. So it's cool to see that those two storylines sort of converging with him catching the touchdown and his teammates being so fucking hyped up for him because like in a way they kind of know what he was going through.
Absolutely. COVID's tough on everyone, man. He comes to Baltimore, a place he's never, spent time, and ends up in a tough situation.
Not only does he come here, I mean, he came here, got turned away, not for nothing.
Right.
Was gone for a couple months and then came back.
Right. That's a great point. And he, at this point, it's all worth it. It all paid off. All of the trials, the tribulations, the turmoil, the injury, the rehab, the stress, the pain, the tears, the sweat, all that stuff pays off. When he threw up that X, it all just melted off. And that's why Harbaugh gives him that big hug. It just all melted off. He's a fucking dangerous man right now. I'm not going to lie. He's a dangerous man for this Ravens team to have and get rolling right now. It is huge. The way that he's looking, the way that he is physically imposing himself against defensive backs, pushing them off. On that touchdown, he worked that corner off of him, was wide open. Lamar didn't hit him. Not great, but then comes back, sits still, and then gives a shake again, uncovers again for a second time, and he's been bodying people off of him, looking, maybe not quite as explosively fast or whatever, but still strong, still just a natural freaking wide receiver.
For all the times this comparison has been made incorrectly, and it might still be a little bit incorrect in this case because I think
I think I know what you're going to say. Can I guess?
Much lighter version of what we saw from Anquan Bolden at his best. Boom. A little bit slower, but still can get it.
Bolden was not fast.
No, yeah, like a little, and
I don't even know if slower is the right word.
Bolden was just like a smokestack with two weird legs and just kind of like moving his way down the field, like kind of
he
like
was inevitable. He was you couldn't get him off his line.
Exactly. And like, not fast, but good hands, went out to snatch the football, got up into guys' grills, wasn't afraid to get in the mix in the blocking.
Actual possession wide receiver who creates with his body.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously that's a very lofty comparison, arguably the best receiver in franchise history, but he's,
in my opinion, the best.
Yeah, exactly. I'm seeing some shades of that, which is awesome.
Exactly. And that's what Lamar needs. Mark Andrews doesn't even do what Dez does in terms of like physically separating himself from his coverage, from his man. So it's nice to be able for Lamar to be able to find him early in one-on-one against man coverage or against some zone on an island and know that he's going to fight for the fucking ball and he can trust him. And that's imperative.
Absolutely. So
moving on, B-Rose 931. It's always up and down. B-Rose 931, just a shout out to you. You're always here, and sometimes you go through some trials and tribulations as a Ravens fan, and we're here for you. Just want to say that, B-Rose.
We love you.
We love you, B-Rose. Does this game give you optimism for Marquise Brown going forward? Yes.
Yeah, no doubt. Like it's his most complete game that he's played, maybe all season, maybe since week one. Who could possibly say? He had a nice game against Washington as well, but probably, for my money, he looked like what I was hoping he was going to be to an extent. So would have been nice to get this for 17 weeks, but it's not how it works sometimes, and that's okay. He looked really good, and building off it, like we said, after that adversity, going into the playoffs, and hopefully, bringing some energy like this and some play like this into the playoffs, if God willing, they do make it.
Mentally very resilient. We've seen a lot of resilience out of Marquise Brown this year. Pissed off at one point, wanted the damn ball, couldn't get it, was getting open, had some drops,
There's an entire cottage industry of jokes on Ravens Twitter about a tweet that he had too. So he's been going through it.
He's been going through it, but he emerged. He is strong-willed, and that freaking amazing clip of him bringing the heat after Trace McSorley hit him and he outran Minka Fitzpatrick. He is a fiery motherfucker. So it tells you everything you need to know. You know his story. He goes to college at the Canyons with no money. He has to work at the freaking Six Flags out there or whatever. He's 130 pounds, works his ass off. He doesn't care. He's been in a worse situation and emerged victorious. We have seen that this year. He's getting stronger. He's developed mentally this year, it felt like, and remained strong. So that was a great storyline, I suppose, or a great development itself. Moving on, Pedro Balino. What's happening with Marlon Humphrey? What are you seeing out of Marlon right now, Jake?
It feels like a guy who, like I mentioned, kind of struggling to come back from the illness a little bit. I think that has to be a factor because he's a guy who likes to mix it up, likes to get up in guys' faces a little bit, play really physical. He's still really going hard for the punch outs, which is good to see because like that's probably something that could get lost when you're trying to like over focus on technique and do some stuff like that. That's just like basically an instinct built into him at this point. But yeah, I mean, he's given up, I think, a couple touchdowns. Like he's given up, I think he gave up one today, a touchdown. He gave up one last week, which like you really don't see him do that too often. So he's working his way back, but like the traits are still there. And I feel like they're always going to be there. So there's no concern. I just think he's a guy who's, coming back from a serious illness and is learning the workarounds of what you have to do in order to recover from that, as is a lot of these guys. I mean, Calais Campbell couldn't even play today, partially because of that. So, COVID's a fucking bear and he's coming back from it still. But the fact that he's even out there doing what he does, playing at 60, 70%, whatever he's at, it's still a help to the Ravens. He's still making plays here and there and being sort of that alpha dog that you like in the secondary. So some up and some down, but I think he'll be right as rain, in a couple weeks' time.
I think you can kind of see some tendencies on him now. There's some tape out on Humphrey. He is very violent, explosive and violent. And that doesn't just mean, hitting and stuff like that. It's in his feet. It's in his hands. It's in his technique as a corner. And he's he's always been this way. He's violent. He's a little out of control at times. You would like to see some of these smoother reps from him from time to time. And it feels like there hasn't been a ton of really smooth work from his feet in terms of mirroring, in terms of keeping his balance under him and able to swivel his hips and things, where we saw that a little bit more, I think really 2 years ago, actually, when he really emerged. So I think he's playing a little bit too violently. I think that there's a lot of pressure on him to perform, especially today where Peters is out, Smith is out, Averett, coming back, Tramon Williams not fully integrated, kind of came in cold a couple weeks ago and then had a thigh injury miss last week. So there's a lot of pressure on him. He's got some tough assignments. He gets got sometimes. He has some DPIs, but he keeps pushing, keeps fighting. So there's no reason to be really down on Marlowe or anything. But not his greatest game today. That's all right. And I would like to see some smoother performances out of him. Some less effort. Make it look a little more effortless. Patrick Peterson style. They're similar players in my opinion. Peters obviously incredibly better ball skills. So get that one out of the way. But in terms of athleticism, in terms of explosiveness, physical mentality, would like to see him gather himself a little bit more, play with some balance. So think he'll get right with everybody healthy and able to go back and watch some film. He's very, very dedicated to his craft and watching film and being in the film and all that good stuff. So hopefully he's able to bounce back and really get back into form. Don't think he was terrible, but definitely not his best day. Enjoy Slurms, frequent flyer, throwing up the mother effing X. Hell yeah, we'll throw it up again, baby. Love you, Des. Elliott 52. M. Brown looked silly. Trending upward, hopefully. Rate his performance out of 10. Out of 10, I'll give him 8.5. How about that?
Marquise?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably, solid B. 8.5.
There we go. Bradley P. Two-parter. Here we go. Why don't the Ravens cornerbacks ever play the ball? They watch the wide receivers instead of locating the ball in the air and making a play. That is actually the Orioles don't. At one point, the Orioles made Jake Arrieta stop throwing a cutter. That prevented Arrieta from being what he ended up turning into in Chicago. That might have been some syringe assistance as well in Chicago, but the Ravens, whatever.
Why you got to do it like that?
Because he fucking was jacked all of a sudden. Chris Davis fucking deflated like a after he got his money. Anyway, they play the ball, or excuse me, they play through the receiver. That is a systematic, fundamental ideology of the Baltimore Ravens. They've talked about it before. Their DBs coaches have talked about it before. Hewitt has talked about it. They play through the receiver. They play through the catch point. They value pass breakups over interceptions in that way. They want to consistently make guys have to make really tough catches.
Why you hear guys like Jarvis Landry say they're super physical and like they like to grab and do shit, like that's what they do. It sounds like a shot, but like it works for them. Like they teach their guys, like the refs can't call everything. Like just fucking go out there and do what you got to do. Get in a phone booth with these guys, play physical, and you're probably gonna come out on top most of the time. And that's also partially probably where the punch out thing comes from. That's where, playing the ball as it's like coming through, as if they're like coming down, they like punch up, and like they have all these different techniques that they teach their guys, and it's really, really helpful. That's what the better defensive coaching staffs do. So I think you're right on.
Yeah, and they're a press jam, press man, press soft shoe team. That's what they are schematically. And with that, if you get beat in press man, you want to go play through the catch point, because if you try to locate the ball late after you're beat, you're fucking toast. So that is their idea. When you play press man, you want to play through the catch point. You want to be physical with receivers. How many? I'm trying to think of this year. How many receivers have really? I'm sure there are some. I'm really blanking right now. Who's tormented them? The Chiefs, had some big plays, but like there wasn't any one guy. Kelsey had some. What receivers have like scorched the Ravens this year?
AJ Green,
Corey Davis, and AJ Brown for sure.
Yeah. AJ Green back in the day.
I'm thinking this year though. Like who's really had like a 4-quarter dominant performance? That Titans game was bad for sure. That was
AJ Brown fixed them, but they were just off that day for sure.
I don't think there's been receivers really consistently hurting them for 4 quarters most of the time. Kelsey had a big day. He's a monster. Whatever, it happens. Hill beat them over top. But like they frustrate receivers. You mentioned Jarvis Landry. They frustrate receivers. Odell Beckham fucking hated it. That stuff works. So I guess we got a little bit long into that one. But moving on. Fiore Lucas again. How confident are you guys right now that if we, the Ravens, were to face the Steelers and the Chiefs in those matchups, Chiefs, still not confident, not going to be confident until I see it. I bit myself in the ass. I told myself I wouldn't sip the purple Kool-Aid and that I would wait and see the Ravens beat the Chiefs before I would say that they could. So lesson learned, fool me one time, shame on you. Don't want to bust a chop out at J. Cole. But yeah, I'm gonna go with not confident in them beating the Chiefs, and I'm going to go with confident in them beating the Steelers.
Yeah, definitely not confident in the Chiefs. I just think the Chiefs are on a different level from literally everyone right now. Probably would not be confident in a matchup with the Bills, but like who else in the AFC right now like is really scaring me? Not many teams.
The Bills don't scare me, but I think they're a good team, and I think they're more disciplined than the Ravens overall. I think they're a better team than the Ravens. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Disciplined, better, very complete. And Josh Allen taking that next step. So
for sure. 2,800 tie. This feels a little reactionary. Why is Lamar floating balls so much? He misses a lot of passes from the lack of zip. I think that is completely flipped around. I think that he puts too much zip. He throws too low of angles too often, and it's hard to track. I was really encouraged he was putting some air under the balls today. Hit Mark Andrews on a big floater, hit Marquise Brown on a big floater. All around the board, he was hitting floaters today. I enjoyed it. We don't see that a ton, actually.
Deep shots do not connect very often. Like the percentage is probably pretty low, and you want to put it further. Like you'd rather overthrow a guy than like underthrow him a lot.
You want to let them run under it like a center fielder running down a fly ball.
And it worked with Hollywood down the left sideline today. It worked with Mark Andrews a couple of times. Obviously, the one interception we saw was an underthrow. So yeah, like just put it out, let your guy make a play on it, or nobody at all.
Let him run under it. Overthrow him, let him run under it. Boss Hoss 00. Does it seem like Queen is doing a better job pre-snap? He's moving linemen more. Yes. Great call. We saw urgency in the fourth quarter from Patrick Queen against the Browns last week. They were kind of lacking it. Ravens were having trouble getting lined up. A lot of guys in and out over the last month in that defense. And Queen is clapping, snapping, barking. 21 years old. Fucking love it. He had a great game today. From what I saw, I'm sure there was probably a couple reps where he didn't fill the way he was supposed to. I actually remember one specifically where he's still not filling front side C gap on outside zone. Still an issue, but yes, I like what I saw from him pre-snap today.
Yeah, kind of a tough season in some people's eyes, but I think the traits are there for a very good linebacker. And we saw some of them today playing with his hair on fire, getting back behind the line of scrimmage and just like bringing a general sense of energy to a defense that could use it with a lot of guys being out due to injury.
Absolutely. Pluke Surfs, our homeboy.
Yay.
Nice game from Hollywood. Merry Christmas, fellas. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Happy holidays. Pluke. Happy
I
holidays.
imagine he's right now living in the Corona commercial. I can't whistle, but is that the GOAT Christmas commercial?
Yes.
And yeah, I think it is. And
there's one I'm thinking of, and I can't fully explain, but I know that when I was a child, I enjoyed it.
Pete and Bubba are just like out catching gnarly swells and then going back and drinking Coronas and lighting up and leaving people alone.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah, happy holidays. Merry Christmas to all the listeners. We'll probably have one episode before. We'll have maybe two episodes before. We'll figure it out. I don't know what we're doing Christmas. We might not record on Christmas Eve. We'll figure it out. But appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, Pluke, our homie Z Zoller. The Ravens should re-sign Bowser and Ngakoue. Let Judon get paid somewhere else. Agree. Yeah. Just give me two of them. I don't know. Give me two of them back. I'm happy if two of them are back. Any two of them. I don't want to get into who's more important, what's more important. I kind of feel like Bowser is the one that is like really in tune with the defense right now. Ngakoue is explosive as a blitzer. Judon does some things. I can right now, if you watch that game today, I can see why you say Judon is the one who is the odd man out if you're the man in charge with the money. But it's not a week-to-week thing. It's a numbers game. It also depends. Is Judon want to be back in Baltimore? Does Ngakoue want to stay here? Does Bowser want to test the market? Does he want to get out of here? Those are all variables that people want to, talk about. Guys are give him 3 years, $37 million. Boom, done. No, they don't. Like, it's a fucking human being that has their own input and maybe doesn't want to be in Baltimore. Maybe does want to be in Baltimore. I don't know. But give me two of those guys.
Yeah, agreed.
Ecto Kohler actually also asked, will Lamar reach 1,000 yards rushing this season? So two people asked that. We broke that down. Jake goes 999. I go 969.
999.
99999. Ravens Daily. Marlon looked a little bit rough today. Thoughts. We broke that down a little bit. He's a violent player. He plays handsy. He plays through the ball. Sometimes the ball hangs. Guys get him. He talked about that Tyler Lockett game before. But we've already gotten into that one. We have one more that came in. I can't believe we have to root for the Steelers. We need the Colts to lose against them. And a Chiefs loss really would have helped that, I think, too. I think that would have given the Steelers a little extra juice. Steelers need to win one. If the Steelers win one game over the next 2 weeks, the Ravens make the playoffs, and the Ravens win out.
Yeah, looks like the Brownies are cruising to a win here in New York. They've got another game in New York against the Jets, who already got their win out of the way. So that's probably going to be an easy win. Then they're at the Steelers, I believe, for the final game of the year.
So
home to the Steelers for the final game of the year.
That will put the Browns at.
I'm thinking they're 12-4. Because I think the Steelers.
They might be playing for the division then. Who the Browns? You said the Browns play the Jets?
Yeah, they've got the Jets next week in New York. And like I said, Jets already got that win out of the way, so they're not going to give a shit. So maybe they'll be playing for the division.
They might be playing for the division there. And if the Steelers win, that would send the Ravens to the playoffs if they went out. Browns go 11-5, Ravens go 11-5. The Ravens advance after that head-to-head sweep. Bring out the old broom. So that does it for the mailbag. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate our listeners. Happy holidays. We'll be getting some more episodes out, but appreciate you guys as always.
Yep. We'll run through these comments real quick. Matt Eckert says, Dez, yes. JK is no joke. No, he's not. I know this was Jacksonville, but it felt like Roman actually called his best game in a while. Good game for Greg Roman.
I feel like he called a nice game against the Browns, too.
Yeah, he really did. I mean, like in different ways, too.
We did not mention Tyree Phillips today.
Fucking didn't. That was so sick.
Absolutely sick. I think everyone has watched that 100 times. That was like almost as cool as when Dan Connolly, the Patriots offensive lineman, had that like 65-yard kick return.
The anniversary of that was like 2 days ago.
Right. Big man rumble. Hopefully Tyree's okay. Excited.
By the way, I don't care what happens with his career. He is confirmed dog.
Confirmed dog, 100%. He went to Last Chance U2, baby. My favorite part of that play, what did he have on the ball? Two hands on the ball. He was toting that rock.
Laid into that dude. Might have concussed himself. Hopefully he's okay. But yeah, that was fucking sick.
Concussing yourself is way better than getting concussed. I can say that from experience.
It's an only way for an offensive lineman to do it. Jordan says, I think you guys are the best versions of yourself. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Matt Eckert also says Hollywood had a hell of a game. Haters need to shut up. Deuces, haters. Gordon, did y'all get copyright dinged? I guess we did. I don't think it really matters. I mean,
we messaged the Baltimore Beatdown Facebook about that, so something weird happened, but oh well.
They might have, they might have just scrubbed because it was from the NFL YouTube channel, so they might have just scrubbed that footage. Whatever. I mean, we only use this to record the show anyway, so it's not a big deal.
Right.
Brendan, what is the number one seed coming into the draft? I know it's far away, or number one need coming into the draft. I know it's far away, but you think it is. I think he means, but what do you think it is? Interior line, like I said earlier.
I don't know who's going to be back. We'll see. We shall see who's back. If Bowser and Ngakoue and Judon all are gone, I'd say that position. Other than that, I guess, those and wide receiver feel like the rooms they're going to need some help in.
Yeah. Alexis Camel. I think Dez's whole story, especially after this game, is going to be motivation for Hollywood and Boykin to just keep working hard and trying to make plays despite the struggles of the season up to today. Yeah, I think it's a good point. I think it's one that I've been making, that here's a guy who, he went through a ton of shit, went through the ringer, very public, issues that he kind of dealt with, and, came back and, playing good football, doing some good stuff. And these young guys that have gone through some shit of their own, seeing that is a good thing for everyone.
That is a great perspective for Hollywood and Boykin to have these like high frequency struggles. Boykin had the long frequency struggles, the long-term ones, the big up and downs, the big long rehab down in the dumps. I'm not going to play football again. I didn't get to go out the way I wanted to. So he brings that wise, veteran in a sense, which is funny to say about Dez Bryant, considering where he was, 8 years ago in his career and some of the stuff the hijinks he's gotten himself into. But he brings a good perspective, and that's what you need in every room. There's a philosophy that Daniel Jeremiah says, kind of, that I personally enjoy. In the NFL, in every room, you want the rookie, you want the prime player, you want a actual vet, like a grizzled vet in every room. Every offensive line room, DB room, running backs, receivers, quarterbacks, all that stuff, if you can. RG3, grizzled vet, had some shit go on. Gives good perspective for Lamar. Don't get yourself fucking hurt. It's not worth it. Slide. Like Anthony Levine keeps the DBs always, mentally kind of in that. We saw that with Geno Stone a couple weeks ago, where Geno Stone was active and Levine had his abdomen issue, his hernia, and Geno Stone fucked up on special teams, was unwired, and Anthony Levine was like, don't think about that. Just go play fast. It doesn't matter. Go make the play. A couple minutes later, Geno Stone runs down, makes tackle on special teams. Anthony Levine's like, see, I told you, go make the play. You're going to be a dog. You're going to take my role. Like, blah, blah, blah. Love having a vet in every room. Like a actual been through the fucking grinder vet.
Yeah, it makes sense. I feel like you'd want that in pretty much any job.
Yeah.
Matt Eckert, Baby Zeus, has been so much better this year. I think he's been pretty good his whole career, but I mean, he's shown his versatility for sure.
Really struggled early on, was really slow feet early on, but turned it on.
Yeah, okay, you're right. I forgot about that.
Really turned it on, especially once Stanley went down. It was like his time to shine. The spotlight's on him on that line. He's the Neo of that line right now. He's the one dude that you have to be able to rely on to win, for Lamar to have that, blind side, able to step up through and do all that stuff. And he's giving it to him, man. He's playing high level football. So shout out OBJ. He's a fucking man. I need his jersey, actually. He's my dude.
And he is an FBI agent. Had to get another Keanu reference in there for you. And Point Break, too. Another Point Break reference.
I thought that was Bill and Ted when you said Keanu.
I am an FBI agent.
I don't think I've seen Point Break in like 15 years.
It's good. It's worth a rewatch. It's very... There's a lot of very dumb parts to it, but in a good way.
Hell yeah. But yeah, I'm getting myself an Orlando Brown jersey. Hell yeah.
Getting a jersey, huh?
I'm not going to wear it, but I'm going to look at it. It's going to go in my closet.
You're going to frame it. You need some background music going on there.
I'll work on it. I'll work on it soon. I've got some more time on my hands right now, so I'll get this room aesthetically pleasing for y'all.
Yeah, I've got a couple things on order to spruce this up a little bit.
I actually have a sick. Hold on, let me show this real quick. I have a sick Cal Ripken poster in here. Hold on.
I'm dreaming of a white
SK hot dogs, baby.
That's tight. Look at that lettuce on him. How young is he in that?
There's some glare on there, but love that one. SK.
He's got the lettuce really going.
Shredding, baby. That was a young cow.
Kyle the Goober Boober, 300 subs. They did it. Thank you, everyone subscribing on YouTube.
Tuber.
Don't know what's going on with that copyright thing. It seems like we're still rolling fine. So we'll try to avoid getting into any trouble in that on the future. Keep subscribing to the YouTube. Jordan says Arietta.
I guess maybe it was because it's from there, but I've posted NFL clips on YouTube. They basically ding it and say, we take a cut of any profit you get.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine then. We don't have the YouTube monetized right now anyway.
Yeah.
Jordan chimes in. Arietta was totally juicing. LOL. He probably was. Like I watched the first season of Veep again a couple months ago, and he's weirdly in an episode. Him and
when she goes to Camden Yards and they get stuck there.
Yeah, he actually has a speaking line in it. He's so much scrawnier. I don't think he has the beard. And then he goes to Chicago, and he really did. Those flamethrowers, they just fucking love to peacock around with their muscles and their beards and shit. Good for them. But yeah, he probably was. But listen, I'm just saying we don't got to do him like that. I was happy for him when he got that Cy Young and everything. So good for him. Matt Epker with the last one. Lamar's pass deep outside to Brown was probably or possibly his best ever. Best ever deep shot. Maybe. Don't get a lot of the ones to the sideline like that.
I can't recall that throw in my head. I have to go rewatch it. But yeah, maybe there's some good shots.
A lot of people.
The one against the Browns was really fucking nice in week 1.
Yeah, that was good. I mean, it was kind of similar too, but he had a lot of guys around him on this one, so it was nice job by him. That is all we've got as far as comments, as far as questions from social media. Really appreciate you guys tuning in and helping us to provide this content for you. Like I said, appreciate y'all tuning in. Hope you guys have yourself a nice little holiday week here. Hope you get some time off, regardless of whether you are celebrating Christmas or not. For all my fellow Christians out there, Merry Christmas. For all my members of the tribe, including yourself, I hope you have yourself a nice week this week, surrounded by friends and family. Good food.
Good times rolling in. Good vibes from the Ravens. Good times rolling in. 2020 has been rough. Hopefully you guys are able to celebrate it. If you need somebody to talk to, if you're feeling lonely, hit us up in the DMs. Always down to chat. If anybody needs a little to talk, hit me up. I'm always available to chat. If you're feeling a little lonely, hit me in the DMs. I try to respond. So hope you all are feeling great, feeling good about this Ravens win. Hopefully the holidays can lift your spirits a little bit. I know a lot of people have lost loved ones, in complicated situations from this year. Haven't seen people that you've wanted to, maybe some grandparents, some older relatives and all that. And I feel for you. Like I said, if anybody needs any support, hit me up in the DMs. I got your back.
I second that right there for you. And let's let the good times roll. Had to get my Cars reference in there. But hopefully, better days on the horizon as far as all the shit that has happened this year. As
vaccine getting pumped out, baby. Hopefully this stuff is rolling on out.
Yeah, a lot of healthcare workers getting it. Politicians are getting it, which is going to help them get back into Congress and kind of do the shit that they need to do here, which is also a good thing. So, go ahead and don't be afraid to feel optimistic about that is what I would say, because I understand skepticism and whatnot, but good things on the horizon, I think, and hopefully better times ahead after what has been.
2020 is almost over, guys. We've made it. 2021, the year of good, not 2020 stuff.
2021 is going to be the year of disruption. We're turning it on its head.
Hell yeah.
Appreciate everyone tuning in to this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed that Ravens win. Like I've been saying, hope you enjoy this coming holiday week. We will be trying to pump episodes out like Spen was talking about earlier. In the meantime, if you are not subscribed to us already, go ahead and subscribe to us wherever you're getting your pods or on YouTube. And if you are on Apple, leave us that 5-star rating and review. Follow us on social media. You can follow the show on Twitter at Podcast Beatdown. I'm at Jake Luke. That is LOUQUE. And Spencer is at Ravens 4 Dummies. That's the number 4 in the middle. Also follow the main account at Be More Beatdown, where Kyle and I are pumping stuff out as well during game days and all throughout the week. Really appreciate you guys listening. Have yourselves a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you again very soon.
See ya. How do we end this now? Don't forget.
Arrivederci.
So, see you guys.